Good evening, good evening. Welcome back to the 2022 edition of the Engen Pitch Polish competition. I'm your host, Rems Mabote. Last week, we saw the pitches of our first two contestants from the Green Group, Palesa Mutaung and Thabiso Sebata. Two very different businesses, and yet they both did such a good job. Tonight, we'll find out how our two remaining green contestants stack up, and we'll also learn who is going through to round two and who is going home. Stay tuned because we'll also be giving away another great viewer prize later. Now, if you recall last week, I promised you we'll be catching up with the 2021 Engen Pitch Polish second runner-up Oma Tema of Plus Fab.
I'm good. I'm happy about the fact that we're still on track. Our dreams are still our dreams, and we are going to make them come through. It's a good feeling to be balanced. It's a good feeling to know that you're on track. What I mean about being on track is that when I got into Pitch and Polish, I said our business is a B2C, right? And we wanted to expand in becoming a B2B business. And we are on track with that regard because we have started working with a lot of B2Bs. There's a corporate company that we're actually doing samples for their uniform of their staff, which is an amazing contract. And we have been very lucky to do graduation gear for the Oprah Winfrey Academy as well. That the last year's graduates, we did their graduation gear. We have a lot of amazing people that we continue to work with. One thing I know is that I'm very clear about my business. I'm clear about what I want to do, how and when. And now with the learnings from the competition, I now have the creative and the clarity and these numbers coming together to take off. So that for me is the biggest takeoff, and I'm grateful for that opportunity for that. And also because I got 50K out of it, you know? Girl got 50,000 rands. I mean, come on. I think I must show you what I did with the 50,000 rands, right? Because you can see it. So this is pretty much the work that I do when I am going to check on production. But yeah, so this is the bow hole. Everything I think about, Hassan makes it. If I say I want something to do this, Hassan does it. There's a machine that opens the hole, and there's also another machine that actually puts and make sure that the button is sewn in. The more it means more production that is happening and it's more money, money, money. So now that we've showed you what the button hole done, now we're at the button sew machine. Now this button sew machine is to make sure that we've got the hole and then we now have the button and we've got a beautiful shirt. So even the Plus Fab gents, we might be able to cater for them. So Hassan is going to show us how the button sew in works. They're putting in the button. Are we ready? What is going to help us to do is going to now propel us to have a variety of product that we can actually produce. If somebody wants a shirt, we can be able to do it. We won't take that business away. And it's something that we were not able to do because, you know, we don't have those kind of machines. So if a corporate company says we want shirts branded and all of that, we can do that. Well, thank you so much for stopping by to check up on me. As you can see, all is still on track. We're doing better, we're doing well, we're counting our numbers. Those numbers don't intimidate us anymore. But to the new contestants, guys, I wish you all of the best. It's going to be real, I promise you. But definitely it's going to be worthwhile. Whilst at it, stay plus and fabulous.
So great to catch up with you, Oma. You're such a dynamic personality. And who knew that there are machines that can sew on buttons? I could do with one of those back at home. Now though, I'd like to introduce you to our third contestant from the Green Group. Kicking off the action tonight, we have James Hodkinson, who is based here in Gauteng. James is owner of Beekeeping Experience and Equipment, or B for short, Well, let's see how he does in the hornet's nest.
Hi, James.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, very, very well, thanks.
Are you nervous?
A little bit, but I'm going to get into my stride and I'm going to go for it.
Okay. Good, James. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pitch and polish.
Hello everybody, my name is James Hodkinson. I belong to beekeeping expertise and equipment. I love bees. At the age of 16 I started keeping bees, and this passion of mine has just come through into my company. I'm passionate about training, and I've had over 180 students come through my training program. I found a need for actual equipment, and at the end I opened up my shop, which can be found at myurbanbees.com. It accounts for about 85% of my turnover. I've also shipped as far as Cape Town and as of last week to Mozambique. I'm really passionate about it. I do removals as well. My clients even suit up in their suits and actually experience the removal as we're transferring the hive, which is really great. I really love it. Over here I've got a capture box. I want to purchase 270 of them and put them out throughout of Gauteng. In spring we have lots of swarms getting killed by municipalities. And I want to actually put these boxes out and actually catch those wild swarms that are emerging in the spring. These swarms are then going to be put into actual production hives. Those production hives are going to go into pollination services. Pollination services is accounting for 3,600 swarms are needed in the macadamian industry alone currently. And they're paying up to 800 Rand for a month with bees in the orchards. So it's a real good opportunity in which we can actually start pushing our bees as we're going through. You can find me on James Beekeeping on both Facebook, YouTube, and on WhatsApp. Thank you.
Good timing there, James.
Yeah, I nailed it.
You did. Thanks, James. And the passion comes through very strongly.
Cool, yes.
What is different about your business to any other?
To any other, it's
in the
unique.
Beekeeping.
Yeah, it's
space.
unique. I think it's from the person that's interested all the way through to them harvesting their first harvest of honey. I'm always for my students. When they start off catching their first swarm, I've got a WhatsApp group where they can brag and just send photographs of the queen arriving, and we just get involved with that. And all of my students, when they get their first harvest, and how they brag about their honey that they've and I just love it. I'm just passionate about my students and the bees, and looking after the bees at the same time.
Thank you.
So I'd like to ask a question just around the economics of this business.
Yeah, great.
So I understand, if I understand, you've got a retail outlet at the moment.
Yes.
You say that's accounting for about 85% of what you're generating?
Yeah.
So tell us more about, you said it was 200 and how many units you would buy?
270. It's just a ballpark figure that
Okay.
I want to put out. Okay, so the unit cost is about 370 Rand.
Yep.
I'm going to sell it to the customer, to a person
Yep.
for 500 Rand. That's my market. That's what I'm aiming it at.
Yep.
And it's all about the green ticks. The guys were wanting to look after the environment. Municipalities are killing the bees so often,
Yep.
and I just want to put these out. The bees will move in. They'll do it themselves. It's actually quite safe when they're actually doing it. They don't want to sting, and when they move in with the queen, after 2 weeks they establish themselves. I'll come along. I've got a little door here which I can drop at night, and we drop the door and we can take this hive away. In turn, it's a box for life. So that person who's paid the 500 Rand will then be given another empty box in the same place and a bottle of honey. So for them, they think, okay, great, they get a bottle of honey and I get a swarm, and they've got their box that continues to catch swarms for me. I value a swarm at about between 700 and 900 Rand when it's in full production and producing honey.
Okay, so you mentioned something about the macadamia industry.
Yes.
And 800 Rand a month.
It's just during their flowering season for the max. They're actually needing, their yield is actually up to 40% greater if they're putting the bees in on the max.
So explain the 800 Rand a month. Is that something
That's what the farmer would pay me.
For what though?
To put up a production hive in his orchard.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
One that's filled.
yes, with bees. So I'm catching these bees with this program here and filling my other full hives, and then taking those full hives once they're at production level into the farms.
And he gets 40% more yield out of his...
They value it huge. They're calling the guys, they're begging.
Yeah.
They actually need 3,500 swarms per year going forward. They've been planting max.
And what's the
that's just
competition like in that, in
it
what
is-
you do in that industry?
It's quite unique. There are very few people doing it at the moment. There are 2 or 3 guys on the East Rand that are doing it, and you always get those smaller farmers that don't have the need for, say, 50 hives. They may be just needing 20 or 30, which I could then start off in that niche area and then build my way up.
Okay, good, thanks.
Maybe I mean, you asked my 800 Rand question. I didn't understand that. But
Yeah.
you're not simply moving the problem. If there's a lack of bees in an area, are you not simply like you're moving the problem somewhere else?
So what happens in spring, our density of bees in Johannesburg is about 26 swarms per square kilometre. That's the average. In Johannesburg, we do have a lot of bees, and the actual current swarms that are there do split in spring. So we're actually catching this, it's like giving birth. There are more of the swarms there, and you do have quite a high die-off rate when they get into municipal water meters and everything like that. So with this way here, we're actually helping the population by taking them through to those areas. We do have breeding schemes that I am looking into. We can stop breeding queens and everything, but it does become very intensive and expensive as well. And takes a bit.
So why don't you do that? Why don't?
It's a great idea, but at the moment, this is where I'm passionate about. The time that I had one colleague, a friend of mine, who was actually doing it, and one thing went wrong in the process, and he lost 180 queens. So it is a very clean and sterile environment that they need to work in those.
Great, James. Thanks for your pitch. You may leave.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you.
All right. Your thoughts?
Yeah, interesting. I think he knew his stuff. He has done his homework, understands the numbers involved, is clear about where he wants to focus, and instead of being a jack of all trades. But as far as demand, I'm not sure in terms of the box being put somewhere and you're paying $500 for that to get rid of your bee problem and a jar of honey. I'm not sure about that bit of it. The other bit where the farm is needed for their harvesting, that seems to make a lot of sense. I'm not sure about the front end bit.
So I get a sense that, we don't get a sense. It's clear he's very passionate about it. I think that passion will translate into success. It's just, I hope he's seeing all the opportunities that exist within this segment that he's looking after. I think he does. It's, I guess, balancing his passion with what's going to make him a commercially viable enterprise. And maybe he already is commercially viable. We didn't get into that detail, but there's clear passion. It seems like a lot of opportunities. I hope he can find the right formula of using his own finite resources, I guess, to find the right formula to make this really commercially viable for himself.
Yeah, I suppose a good segue for my thoughts, which is this a passion or is this a business? Is this a hobby or is this a business, a hobby that he's making a living out of? I don't know about the ability for this where he wants to do that or not. That didn't come across. So I get the 340 boxes, but it's for me, this is already a hard one. I need to think about this more. It's not so simple, this one.
James, congratulations and good to see you.
Thank you.
In your view, what do you think caught the judges' attention? Is it James? Is it the presentation? Is it the bees? What is it about?
It's all about the bees, and hopefully they get the vision that I've got and how I want to actually save the bees and also put them into production, and have a good sound financial model going forward in the business.
A very unusual kind of business, I must say. How did you get into it quickly in 1 second?
I was 16 years old, and I had a love for bees, and I killed my brother's chickens when I was 19, and I've learnt with the bees, and I do training, and I love to teach people how to work with bees and do it safely.
Wow, it was an amazing presentation.
Thanks.
I got interested in bees from what you spoke about.
Do you want to buy a box?
I think, congratulations, I hope you make it to the next round.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
From aviation to apiculture, what a switch! And if you do not know what apiculture means, join the club. I had to Google it. It means beekeeping. Anyway, I really commend James for doing his part in nurturing the world's declining bee population. Such important work. Thank you, James, and good luck. Let's move on to our viewer prize giveaway, another Take-A-Lot voucher valued at 5,000 Rand. I have no doubt you, our entrepreneurial viewer, are keen to snag one of these. Tonight's question relates to James's pitch. How old was James when he started keeping bees? How old was James when he started keeping bees? Do you remember the answer? If not, my advice is go back and watch James's pitch again. 5,000 Rand is on the line. Afterwards, Post it on the Pitch and Polish Facebook page to go into the random draw. Entries close at midnight tonight, and we'll be posting the winner's name before 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. But it's time now to move on to the last pitch from our green group. Facing the judges is Tsepo Sidugumo, also hailing from Gauteng. Tsepo is the owner of Grove Craft. Good luck, Tsepo.
Hi there, Tsepo.
Hi there.
How are you feeling?
I'm good.
You're
Good.
not too nervous?
Not too nervous.
Not
Hi,
too
judges.
Hi,
Tsepo, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pitch and polish.
When it comes to making purchasing decisions, more choice leads to. When it comes to making purchasing decisions, more choice leads to better customer satisfaction, and quality service is always a value add to the product. My name is Tsepo. I'm the founder of Grove Craft, and we build bespoke home furniture and wood products. As a DIY enthusiast, I've always understood the value of tailor-made products that can be seamlessly fit into your own space. Our core service focuses on building custom products such as built-in units, tables, racks and shelving, TV stands, and so much more. There's one thing I like about hearing about unique products, and that's the story behind them. And that's what we try to do at Grove Audio. We help customers create their own stories by working with them to design every aspect, from the specific measurements to the design, color, and finishes. We've been able to collaborate with a number of customers on a variety of different products, but we've been working under different constraints, such as tools and machinery, a suitable workspace, and a lack of staff, and this has stunted our growth. With the 650...
Sure. I've just got a big suspicion that somebody on my right is going to give you a chance to by asking a question.
Thanks, Tsepo. First question from me is, who is your customer?
You know, we target customers who are looking for something different in the market. Customers who are not just shopping for furniture that serves a function, but that provides more value in terms of usability and aesthetic function.
And can you quantify the size of your market? What's your aim in terms of how far you're into the market, and how much further would you need to get into the market?
Thanks for the question. So in terms of our penetration in the market, I do acknowledge that it's not a large market. It's a niche market, but it's a market filled with customers who are engaged and who are actually looking for the product itself and are willing to take the time and to spend the money to get the product that they're looking for.
Great. And finally, the 650, what would you do with it?
How did I know you were going to ask that?
Help a guy out.
Right. So I've identified 3 main areas that I need to really affect my growth, and that's investing in tools and machinery, a workspace and storage, and investing in new staff as well to train, because that's something that's very personal to me.
Thank you.
So I'm keen to understand a little bit about your background around how you arrived in this industry. So you said DIY enthusiast.
Yes.
Maybe you can elaborate on that firstly.
Sure.
And then I'd also like to understand more about, how are you trading? What sort of turnovers are you doing? How profitable are you? And, with the money that is, available in this competition, how far could that take you?
All right. So thank you for the question. So I'm a self-taught carpenter, and I've been working with wood since I was a kid, basically. And that's really how I got into the market. It was a passion for me. And I really tried to challenge myself to the work and try different things. And that's why I try to customize products for my clients, because that's something that I do as well for myself. I really try to challenge myself, try new things and something different. Now, I'm sorry, your follow-up question?
It was just really about your finances. So,
Yes.
you know, what are you generating in terms of sales turnover,
Right.
and ultimately what are you generating in terms of bottom line?
All right, so I'll be honest with you, it's quite a challenge because of the constraints that I work underneath. It limits the amount of work and projects that I can take on at any one time. So on a monthly basis, I have the capacity to take on about 3 to 4 large projects, and turnover, it's less than 40,000 on a monthly basis, and that's due to the constraints that I've been dealing with.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So is this a hobby or is it a business? And I know you're going to say it's a business, right?
Yes.
And so why is it a business?
For me, I wouldn't say it's a hobby. I would say it's a business, and it's a passion of mine, because there's something that I'm trying to achieve here, not just through my work, but I'm trying to offer value to customers, personal value. So I would characterize it as a business, and it's something that I'm trying to build to be something bigger, and something that can create more work for other people like myself who are passionate to learn and who might be interested in wood as well, which is why I prioritize training my own workers.
So it really sort of follows on from Bulela's question about who is your customer, because there's a bit that I'm still not clear on. Is your customer the premium target, or the sort of aspirant premium type target market, or the budget target market? I just want a little bit understand a bit more about where you're targeting what you do.
All right, so I try to steer away from the budget customer, because typically the budget customer will aim for functionality over aesthetics. So I do aim for the mid to premium tier, because they have the disposable income to actually explore other types of furniture, and who are generally interested in the product as well.
Thanks.
All right, Sepa, you may now leave.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to start with you, Alan. What do you think?
I think similar to the guy before, there's definite passion.
Yeah.
But I think there hasn't been the same necessary ability to translate that passion into something sustainable. I would love to have seen some of his work, I must say. Because I'm still sort of struggling to visualize what he's
What
producing.
it is.
Because there was quite a lot. There was a kitchen cupboards, and there was bespoke furniture. And he even mentioned Grove Audio. I'm not sure if you picked it up.
Yes, that's
I
what.
wondered.
Did you see me? Did you see me looking through my papers? I thought, why did it say audio?
I'm sort of wondering whether there's another business on the side carrying the same brand or something like that.
Yeah.
But and so clearly, it's obviously, it doesn't feel like it's the type of business that is thriving yet. Training carpenters ain't easy. Tools give you some extra capacity, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like the guy a lot. He's got lots of enthusiasm and lots of passion, but I'm not as convinced about the business case, really.
I tend to agree. It does feel more like a passion and hobby, and side hustle versus a main, this is what I'm doing and I'm going to make it work, and everything in. The passion is definitely there. You can feel it. He knows what he's talking about. But also his challenges and constraints also feel a bit insurmountable in terms of what's available resource-wise and what he needs to achieve to get to where he needs to.
Yeah, I mean, like all you spoke about the one before, but also we've had three. I mean, everyone's passionate, but three that seem to take, or seem to be a hobby or a skill set, and then try and turn that into a business. And my experience, I've been doing this for over 20 years. My experience is that there's a big jump from the one to the other to become commercial. And very often what happens is that the entrepreneurs don't want to. They think they do, but they want to. The photographer wants to take photographs. The carpenter wants to make furniture. The beekeeper wants to look after bees. They don't want to run a business. And to scale a business, that's what they've got to do. They've got to deal with people issues, client issues, etc., etc. So I'm always, when I hear see these types of businesses, I'm always worried whether the investment, like the 650,000, would actually break their soul, because there's a fantasy of doing more of it than actually building a business. And unfortunately, I've seen far too many where it does break their soul. And so you just want to see, are you commercial with a passion, or are you passionate and you want to be commercial? This last guy, Tsepo, was definitely the latter. He's very passionate, but then he wants to be commercial. But I don't think he's got it.
Tsepo, a bit of a wobbly start there.
Definitely, definitely. I think the nerves got to me a little bit there.
At some point though, did you feel like you're relaxed and you can sell what you're selling to these guys?
I began to regain my confidence as
Yeah.
I went along, but I hope it was enough to clinch the deal.
What is the one thing that you think they must hold on to so that it clinches the deal for you?
For me, I think I'd like them to hold on to the idea that this is not just work for me. It's a passion,
Yep.
and it's something that I enjoy doing. And it's something that I do for my customers so that they can have some pride in their products as well, not just something off the store shelves.
I think you should have presented now. Well done. I wish you luck in the next round.
All right, thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up the 4 pitches from the Green Group. Before we find out who is moving on to round 2, let's have a check-in with the judges to hear some of their thoughts on the performances of the Green Group contestants. And we are past the Green Mile, judges. Good to see you again. And I'm going to start with you, Bulela.
Oh dear.
Who do you think did not stand out for you particularly?
Whew, that's a tough one, but I think in this series of contestants, there were some who was very strong and outshined others. So to answer your question, for me, James.
And why?
Against the other contestants, I think his pitch was slightly lacking. I didn't get a strong sense of the need in the market, especially in terms of the charge that one would have to pay up front for the unit that would be left to capture the bees. Bits of his pitch made more sense than others. And what came across very strongly was his passion. But we are here for the business side of things as well. So I think that's quite key.
So, Ellen, do you think he was just a busy bee?
He's definitely a busy bee, for sure. I mean, I think the guys, the deliberation will happen around sort of who gets eliminated, who doesn't. I actually thought James was quite strong. I think the passion came through really hard. I felt there was a ton of potential behind what he was doing. So he stood, I think they all stood tall for me. Some just stood taller for others. And if you ask who stood the tallest, for me it was Palesa.
Absolutely.
Because she, for me, ticked pretty much all the boxes in terms of what I think we were looking for here.
Alone in 90 seconds, who, if they had more than 90 seconds, would have done much better?
Sure, you always ask the tough questions. I think actually Palesa would have done even better. I think we would have unpacked more of the commercial potential of that business. I think the 90 seconds didn't give her that time.
Well, thank you very much. You have heard the judges. Now, the next moment, we're going to know who stays and who leaves.
How are you all feeling, contestants? Confident? Nervous? Okay, let's start with ladies first. Palesa, I have to say, what a phenomenal storytelling capability you have. You walked in, it was a breath of fresh air, your smile, your energy. I mean, we just wanted to hear you speak and speak and speak. What I particularly enjoyed about your pitch was that you are solving a problem, and it's an important problem, and you tried, I don't think enough, but you tried to get across the actual magnitude of that problem in South Africa and where it could be. In terms of the negative, you didn't talk about the competitive environment enough, and so you are in a small little niche in a place where you can dominate, which, by the way, strategically is the right way to start. But if that scales, you're going to come up against competition, and you didn't speak about how you're going to actually take on that competition, what's unique about you in a sustainable way that you can ensure that you can scale the business. From an investor's point of view, we always want to make sure that we can scale the business so we can get a better return, and that wasn't there. Let's move on to you, James. Such an interesting passion you have, and maybe that's the question: is it a passion? Is it a business? Is it a hobby? I couldn't work that out. I know you say it's a business, and I asked some of you, the others here, the same question. We seem to have a lot of very passionate people in front of us today, and your knowledge came across quite. I felt like if there was a big guy that I needed to know, it would be you. It feels that that came across very strongly in your pitch. Also, the demand for. I didn't realize how vast, the bee market was. For me it was sort of honey and wax, and that's sort of where it ended. But you did do a good job in explaining to us the demand and alternative markets, which I think opened, all of our eyes in terms of that. But once again, same as the question as Palesa, as an investor, can you scale this thing? Are you just a shopkeeper, with a passion? Like, that didn't come across. So I can't get across if I'm going to put 650,000 Rand with those 340 boxes. How are you going to do it? How many other people are doing it? I couldn't get an understanding from your pitch why that was the right commercial decision. Tabiso, once again, question: is this a hobby? Are you an artist? Are you a business person? If I'm going to invest in you, are you going to be able to scale this thing? What did come across really well was there's a huge need. All of a sudden, the judges on either side, got all excited. There's somebody's giving a solution to the problem they clearly are feeling, and I understand that there is a demand. But demand and fulfilling that demand commercially are two different things, and to say that's a great product, but is it a great business? Well, I wasn't so clear on that. Your storytelling capability, strong, and I think that's the artist in you. You tell stories in your pictures, and that came through very, very strong. The use of the money, I put a plus and a minus here. I thought you did a good job, and you did a bad job. And then when I thought, how am I going to explain that? I think it comes down to what is your strategy, and I couldn't get it very clear. It's sort of there's this product that I can do, and there's people who want it, and so I'm going to get a whole bunch of people to take photographs, and then I'm going to make that commercially available. So although that might be the right thing to do with the money, and I thought you broke it down nicely, I don't know if it's the strategic use of that money was the negative piece. I don't think there was a strategy behind it strong enough. Tsepo, sure, you had such a bad start, and then you picked yourself up, and in a weird way, I thought that was almost deliberately in a way, because I felt, and then he came back, and I felt connected to you as a human being. I felt your passion. I felt almost a frustration that you're also an artist, and you're like, why doesn't the world get this thing? Why do they want this crappy economic cheap stuff when they can have things of beauty? And so the artist in you started to seep out of you, and I connected to that. You've got to control your nervous. You were nervous. You've got to control that as an entrepreneur, whether you're pitching to a client, a corporate, or an investor. Nerves are something that you need to control. Your numbers, once again, those were not good, and I felt that you didn't answer questions. When you were asked a question, I remember, there were questions from both judges on my left and right, and I thought to myself, did he answer that? And I don't think you did. And then your language, and this is a hard thing to say to somebody, but your language is not one of ownership. You don't own. You're not owning it. It's what we call in entrepreneurial development external locus of control. It's not internal locus of control. And your language, and I listen to language. I listen to contradictions to language, and I was hearing an external locus of control in the way that you presented yourself today. 2 of you are going to stay. 2 of you are going to go, and it's always, this is the worst part of Pitch and Polish. I love hearing the pitches. I hate doing this, but somebody has to be the bad guy, and it's going to be me. So let's start with you, Palesa. Do you stay? Do you go back to, your manual? Hello, do you need cabbages? Hello, have you got cabbages? Yeah. Palesa, you're staying. All right, Tsepo, you are going. Thank you. You may leave. Good luck. So now it comes down to Thabiso and James, the 2 very passionate people. And I have to say that the 2 of you, in terms of scoring, were very, very, very close. Both very passionate. Both, have got something very different in the market. Both have got demand. And so the question that we had to answer is, if we had to put the 650,000 Rand in there or in there, where do we put it? And the answer is that we would put it in Thabiso. James, you may leave. Thanks. Well done, the 2 of you. I hope you've taken all this information in, and that we see an improvement in your pitch and your thinking, and you work with your guides in order to improve it. If you do not improve your pitches, you're going to also be walking out there with a very sad face. So well done, and go out there and prepare. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Palesa and Thabiso, and thank you, James and Tsepo, for participating in the competition. While I am sorry to say goodbye to the 2 of you, I'm certain this is not the last we'll see of each other. Next week, we're moving on to the first round pitches of the blue group with our first 2 contestants facing the judges. We will also be catching up with Yasmin Ali to find out what our contestants have been learning. I know you'll be joining me here at 7 o'clock next Tuesday for all the learning and pitching action. Thank you. From me, Rams Mabote, good night and God bless.